see the Earth now.
You got it.
From sea to sea.
We see the Earth.
From planet to planet and star to shining star from out of the night.
We see the Earth.
And into the light from the pyramids of Giza to the pyramids on Mars, from the dark side of the street to the dark side of the moon, from the ancient antediluvian past to the furthest reaches of the far-flung future, from science fiction to science fact, from biblical prophecy to having it all come true. Your frequency is ascending. The American Freedom Radio Network is tickled pink, pleased as punch, and the proud papa of the radio show that is the glass plus for the windows of your soul. The radio show that, as William Blake said, that if the doors of perception were cleansed, that humanity would see the universe as it truly is, infinite. Strange Universe with your host, the man so nice they named him thrice. The man whose hair grows just to the proper length and then just stops. The man who can identify UFOs by species, class, and race. The man whose hands feel like rich Corinthian leather. That would be me, the Sean David Morton. Please accept no clones, accept no holograms. Okay, we got the Big Tuesday show here. The Big Tuesday show. My guest, actually, for this evening, for as long as she wants to be here in the first hour, maybe have her in the second hour, depending on if we click, if we get along, which I'm sure we will, is Laura Magdalene Eisenhower, and we're going to bring her up after the first break. But Laura Magdalene Eisenhower is the great-granddaughter of Dwight D. Eisenhower. So if you like Ike, tonight will be great for you. She has a stunning story to tell that you might not expect of a person who has grown up on the inside of the New World Order, of the, how can you say, the shadow government, who has truly very, very interesting insights into time, into space, into the reality of everything. Because once again, as I've said over and over and over again, that the further you are into the military-industrial complex, or the further you are into the, let's call it the military-industrial entertainment complex, that the further you are into all of this, the more you begin to realize that as you begin to poke the web and the soft, sticky silk begins to fall away, you begin to realize that at the center of that web is always pretty much the same spider. I still remember going back 20 plus years. My goodness, 90 since 2000. Yeah, over 20 years, 25 years ago, when I was talking about the Dulce Archuleta Mesa. And part of my book, Sands of Time, which you need to get, please get it, www.strangeuniverseradio.com. But here's where it is that there was a video that was released from inside Dulce that featured a scientist by the name of Dr. Henry Monteith. And Dr. Monteith, in this video, was taken somewhere around 1976, I think it was, 76 or 77. And Dr. Monteith, in this video, was showing how it was possible to splice together the genes of a laboratory animal, in this case a hamster, and plants, to literally crossbreed RNA and DNA. And in the course of this video, which I saw, about 19 minutes of this video, Henry Monteith actually grows this creature in the laboratory that is a monstrous thing that's sort of part hamster, part aloe vera plant, as odd as this sounds. Now, I'd been jumping up and down and yelling and screaming about this, that this was possible. Oddly enough, about 3 years after that video was made, Monsanto then applied for the patent to actually splice together animal, mammalian, and plant genes. And, for going on, again, 25 plus years, I've been talking about not only the possibility of this, but that it's actually being done scientifically. And this is one of the fantastic things about talking to somebody like Laura Eisenhower, is that not only was she raised, not only is she a magnificently beautiful woman who is with a pair of wonderful children, who's been raised inside of this, who has been in the Eisenhower family, who's seen this firsthand, but she is another one of those people that will be able to kind of lift the veil, if you will, to peek behind the curtain once again to see what's going on. Now, Again, in my book, Sands of Time, I talk all about Dulce, about a lot of the genetic research that was going on there, about the U.S. government actually having treaties with extraterrestrials, and eventually a war, actually 2 conflicts that were actually fought at Dulce, where we finally, the first one was kind of a draw, and the second one, which was then fought years later, was suffice it to say that the inside of the facility was imploded by rather mysterious forces. Anyway, with the eye in the sky here, once again, this is Strange Universe Radio, and my guest, for as long as she'll have me, is Laura Magdalene Eisenhower to talk about the New World Order, and we'll give you a peek behind the veil of the shadow government when we return in a few beats of your heart.
Welcome to the world's meeting place. American
It's practically narcotics.
Freedom
Oh, yes, I like very much.
Radio.
You're an American institution.
American Freedom Radio.
And welcome back. This is, of course, the Sean David Morton, except no clones, except no holograms, no substitutes. Welcome back to my strange universe. It's the pinnacle of 16.4 billion years of evolution and the glass plus for the windows of your soul. Yes, yes, indeed. People are strange. Like I told David Wilcock about his girlfriend, women, they're dangerous at both ends and tricky in the middle. A lot like horses, actually. So, but someone who is not tricky in the middle, but who is brilliant and erudite and lovely, and really is, I guess you would say, of if we have a royal bloodline in America, she would be part of that. Part of her, just one small part of her background, is that she is of course, the great-granddaughter of Dwight D. Eisenhower, former Supreme Allied Commander, man very much responsible for winning World War II, former President of the United States, and actually growing up in that family was a huge responsibility. But, of course, the person, or should I say, having a great-grandfather who was, in fact, the man who at the very end of his presidency, his final speech to the nation was, in fact, beware the military-industrial complex, only to have that military-industrial complex murder the President of the United States about 3 years later, is certainly an interesting thing. And we're going to talk a little bit, a lot about that this evening. There were rumors that under the Eisenhower administration that Eisenhower met in person with extraterrestrials at Muroc Air Force Base, which is, of course, is now called Edwards, up in here in Southern California, that the treaties were actually signed with extraterrestrial races, and a person that has been privy to a lot of this information and has been raised in this, how can we say, parallel reality, if you will, a person of great, great spiritual power and merit, and I had the honor of being on a panel with her up in San Francisco at the New Living Expo, and became an instant fan of hers, probably because she talks as fast as I do. On the radio, I don't talk as fast because I'm not afraid of anybody interrupting me. Sort of why I have to talk really fast around my wife because I can't get a word in edgewise around her. So the radio is a wonderful thing for me because I get to actually speak in monologues. But, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to present the lovely, the erudite, the illuminating lady, Laura Magdalene Eisenhower. How are you, Laura?
I'm great. Thank you so much for such a kind introduction, too. Really.
Well, you're absolutely worth it. What was it like? The first question, and we're going to build to some things here because hopefully I've got you for a little while here. You are really American royalty. I mean, American royalty to being the great-granddaughter of a true hero, not in the terms of being a daughter of sort of what I call the scum power elite, which is, like a Rothschild or a Rockefeller or a Mellon or, a Warburg or a DuPont or anything like that. Give me a little bit of the background of not only what you were trained for growing up, but what really was expected of you.
Wow, right. Well, it's funny because the minute I was conscious that I was, a child, after you learn to walk and do all that sort of stuff, when you're really just becoming more aware of your surroundings, it really started to hit me, like what family I had, woken up in, the Eisenhower family, and just going to family gatherings and looking through family albums and just looking at the books on the wall and just listening to the conversations. I was paying attention from the beginning. And I was paying attention in a different way because I was very tapped into some of the things that we don't see. I was really sensitive two things going on, in the world. First off, I could tell that something was majorly wrong, that people were living, in some sort of program or under some level of control. And I could tell that, there was a major, major imbalance.
Wait. Hold on. Let me just get a word in edgewise. How did you see that? What do you think? What do you think the program or the control structure forces people to do?
Well, because I can't really stand being controlled, I sort of fell away from that really quick. And so whatever was expected of me wasn't a part of what I was, agreeing to do. I was connecting immediately to the spirit of Ike. I was connecting to what, the planet was dealing with on a very psychic level. I could tap into it. I was also being prepared by beings that, would inform me about my path. And I was connecting to, the spirit of Ike. And I found this very odd because, I'm 7, 8 years old and I'm wondering, who is this bald guy that keeps visiting me? I'm like, he looks like my great grandfather. And I was just like, wow, because I just had such an amazing connection with him. And with the beings showing up and with him showing up, I was like, there's something going on here. But it wasn't anything that I was getting from family. It wasn't like I was being, given extra information about the history that we're starting to understand, connected to extraterrestrials and connected to the deeper layers of the military-industrial complex. So immediately, whatever was expected of me, I sort of fell through the cracks and opened up to something that I guess something larger than me expected of me, like my calling. And why I landed in this family, because I was very much like a fly on the wall. I was very much an observer. And I mean, I have to say this is a beautiful family. There's no weird stuff going on. We're a normal family. We get together, play wiffle ball. Everybody very close. We get together for all the holidays, and we still do. But there was something that wasn't being discussed. And as I was growing up, I was wondering, what are these rumors and what is this, other energy I'm tapping into? So the only way that I could honor it was by not doing what was expected of me. And I did it as gracefully as I could. I didn't do it in a loud, rebellious way, even though sometimes I needed to, stand my ground because I was, battling something very invisible. We're in a war of consciousness. There's mind control. There's all sorts of things that, people can't see. And there's a lot that either my family knows about and can't discuss, or there's stuff that they just don't know about at all. And I was getting in touch with that, realizing that I needed to be a voice for this. I needed to be able to talk about the UFO extraterrestrial connection, and I needed to bring a voice to the things that I was sensitive to as a child, which has to do with, the exile of the divine feminine and the distortion of the masculine role in the patriarchal sense. And so at a young age, I knew that my job was to unify and to, bring the balance back, like that Led Zeppelin song, and and just really go into the deeper layers. And so I made I didn't have anything to validate it except for spirit guides and just my own intuition. And so I became sort of the black sheep, but I was still very loved and appreciated for me. But there were certain things I couldn't handle. I wasn't able to really discuss what I was picking up on. And when it came down to confronting the family about Eisenhower and extraterrestrials, most everybody has said, no, he was at a dentist appointment. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, after all this time, you're still going to tell me he's at a dentist appointment? And I found this very odd. So this is something that I've really, done on my own. And a lot of it is based on my own personal experiences and how I woke up to what the military-industrial complex really is. A lot of my family writes books. They write more about the history that we hear about. But nobody has touched the extraterrestrial issue and the layers of the military-industrial complex connected to Alternative 3, which relates to Mars colonies and underground bases and just sort of the possible route that humanity is taking itself. And so I really had a feeling that this is something that can be rescued. This is something that we can gain our power back and direct humanity in a positive way. And so I devoted myself to the ascension timeline, to the positive timeline, whatever you want to call it, and to the concept of sacred union and bringing back the concept of, the divine feminine, not so much like a gender or women taking over, but tapping into that, both men and women within themselves, to sort of, reawaken this part of us that is connected to the cosmic mother, connected to Gaia, connected to the underworld as being not like this place of hell, but a place of regeneration and creativity, where if we can, own our power and not misuse it, we can really shift things and call ourselves back from the artificial matrix and these controls that have been, implanted in our culture thousands and thousands of years ago so that they could sabotage what we're capable of doing right here, right now. So I wrote a book about it.
Take a breath, and we'll talk about the book in a second. Now, I know this is really old news for you, and I know that this is something that again, you've grown up with over the past, I don't know, you're, to look at you, I think you're, 17, 18, maybe 21, 22 years old, maybe, but just kidding, because you look great. But you've grown up your entire life with knowing that, because what you were talking about is there is a theory that at a point in time, and I believe it was it 1953, I think it was, after Eisenhower became president, he disappeared for a day. And there were rumors that he supposedly went to the dentist, or that he was playing golf that day, or that he was playing golf and then had to be whisked away to some kind of emergency dental appointment. And I believe he was actually on a golf course somewhere in Palm Springs, supposedly. And as the story goes, he was then taken to Muroc Air Force Base, which is now called Edwards Air Force Base, in the Antelope Valley of California, out near Palmdale, actually here. And that there were a series of reports that, again, the president just disappears off the records for this whole day. And if you understand how presidential archives are put together, they are a president's life is planned out minute by minute throughout the day. How many hours they're going to sleep, what their recreation is, because you obviously have a team of Secret Service people and a whole staff that have to do this. So he disappears for a day, and the popular rumor has been that at that point he spoke and or interacted with he and apparently a chaplain and some military officials and a group of scientists with extraterrestrials, and that treaties were signed at that point. And let me get your take on this, because I write a little bit about this in Sands of Time, sort of in passing. But the idea here is that the treaties that we signed with these ETs that later became known as, well, in the early 60s, I think they became known as the Sigma Treaty. That they were basically that these were basically treaties of surrender. That in essence the extraterrestrials wanted genetic material, DNA, to be able to abduct pretty much anybody they wanted, and in exchange they were going to give us what many people felt was the technological equivalent of glass beads, mirrors, and brushes. Sort of like buying Manhattan Island for $10. Can you fill us in a little bit on what you've actually heard in your family? I mean, maybe stories around the dinner table at Thanksgiving about that rather momentous day?
No, because nobody talks about it. Like I said,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've asked a lot of people. I mean, I go to, Thanksgiving dinner and I'm talking to everybody. I'm like, oh, by the way, I was recruited to go to Mars by a CIA agent. Anybody want to, let's chat, And it just sort of gets like, oh, wow, it's like, it's such a loving family. And, but there's certain things that just don't get talked about.
Okay.
It's been very hard to talk about my experiences and my awareness of the E.T. Eisenhower treaties. So when I ask, they all say that he went to the dentist. Now, maybe some family members would say, okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you very much. I'm not that person. I'm one that's a seeker of truth, and I'm not here to protect the family name. I'm here to speak truth, but I honor and love my family, and I think Eisenhower was an incredible man. But here we are caught in this web and in this loop connected to the military-industrial complex, and it didn't reach fruition. He was only able to give us a warning. So what I've come to understand is a lot based on the fact that I was recruited to go to a Mars colony in 2006, all connected to things like HARP technologies and mind control and psychotronic weaponry. And I was targeted basically my whole life by things outside the family. So here I am kind of living this other life that, I would think that maybe somebody in the family could relate to me on because, they're relative and they're descendants of Eisenhower. Maybe somebody, can grasp what I'm going through, but nobody was able to, help me with it or talk to me about it or even relay any information whatsoever about Eisenhower and extraterrestrials. So everything that I share and everything, that I understand is basically me and my own path. I don't have any family secrets, but I do know that Eisenhower put a time capsule in the Gettysburg Farm to be open in 2050 to tell the real story. And I'm trying real hard not to break down those walls every time I go to the Gettysburg Farm. I'm like, take my dowser and, excuse me while I just crumble this wall.
Well, I'll help you. If you want to go there and find it, I'd be more than happy to help you swing a hammer and unearth it. That would be a story.
Yeah, that would be great. But yeah, so I don't have anything from the family, but through a lot of research and through, getting out of this recruitment, which was not easy because I was set up with an agent who was under their control, who I got engaged to, and I didn't know he was sent to take me to Mars until, I didn't know he was sent until 9 months into the relationship, but very early on, I knew that he wanted to go to Mars, and there was this big thing to go to Mars, and then I researched everything. So this all connects to the treaties in a sense. Now, what I've understood is that Crowley, Churchill, and Hitler had a connection, and it established the gray alien agreements and the beginning of the technology trade. And it actually went to Roosevelt, and that's when the CIA, some of that information came into a level of secrecy because by the time Eisenhower came around, there was the Roswell crash and the need to sort of protect this UFO secrecy. I'm sure you know a lot more about this than me. But what I've come to understand is that the treaties are renewed every 10 years. The last president was Roosevelt that signed the treaty. He's actually the first president to sign the treaty. And I guess the arrangement is that the treaties are renewed every 10 years. This is what whistleblowers have said. And some researchers...
Go ahead. Finish your sentence. Okay, so whistleblowers have. All right. Don't go into shock when the music comes on. We do have breaks. This is Sean David Morton. My guest, of course, is Laura Magdalene Eisenhower. We're going to talk about the bases on Mars and her role in what the future is going to be like. This is Sean David Morton. We'll be back with more episodes of Phineas and Ferb after this. And working that strange magic on Strange Universe Radio with the Queen of Strange Magic, Laura Magdalene Eisenhower. Once again, if you want to give us a call, we've got a couple of callers here, but I want to give Laura a chance to talk. So we'll be taking your calls probably about the second hour or so. So 218-339-8525. That's 218 Fez 8525. I don't know what else 339 spells. So put on your Fezes, strange universarians. So anyway, greetings and salutations to all of you who are just joining us. You are currently traveling outside the time-space continuum in our ongoing mission to defend the multiverse from all threats, foreign and domestic. Oh, you mortals get in so much trouble. However, if you will be so kind as to give us a call and leave a lingual, symbolic, sonic communication with your current numeric quantum time-space coordinates, we will respond to your transmission for help, assistance, instruction, and evolutionary advancement as soon as we return to this vibrational frequency that you humans call the present. Meanwhile, back in this reality, once again, this is Sean David Morton, the guy so nice they named him thrice, the man sharks have a week named after. And if you were to pat you on the back, you would put it on your resume. Welcome. Okay, so let's go into and I do have one question here, actually coming on my board here from my very good buddy Kevin Shaw, the TV sound guy from Canada. By the way, just so you know, Strange Universe is now going out to, and this is thanks to the research by Freighter X. But just so you know, Strange Universe is going out to 206 cities. This was from last night. 206 cities in 12 countries with what is apparently well over about 225,000 listeners worldwide. So we're taking over is all I can say. It's getting bigger and better. My buddy, the TV sound guy, Kevin Shaw, wanted me to ask you, and you may just have a yes or no on this and we'll move on, but he was curious whether you knew anything about the Wing Makers material or anything about the Wing Makers, which was a whole thing that was up on the web, supposedly about people from the future coming from the 29th century and kind of seeding the past and interacting with people today. Do you know anything about that or have any opinions?
I know a little bit about it, but I don't know how much of an opinion I have yet. There's just a lot of information out there, and I haven't really fully decided what I think about it. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, there's all sorts of things happening on all different levels. I mean, I'm more focused on the timelines and just the different interventions that we're dealing with, and it seems that this is a positive thing, the Wing Makers.
Okay, well, if you don't have any personal experience with it, then we'll just move on to something else.
Yeah, I can save that for a different time. I haven't really been able to crack that one yet. I'm just okay. All right. My experience is let's focus on.
Fair enough. I don't want The reason I have people as guests on the, if you want an opinion, that's what I do. It's like the most exercise I get is mostly jumping to conclusions. So, and if that were an Olympic sport, I would certainly be a 7-time gold medalist. I want what you've experienced and what your personal experience here, and of course the great aspect of this is let's talk about, because I'm very fascinated about this. Do we have, and everybody that I've spoken to that I respect that's looked behind the curtain believes that there's apparently like a whole other section of humanity, like there's a whole other group of humanity that seems to be evolving along a completely different scientific and technological line that, for all intents and purposes, the only way I can describe it is like a class of people, that the reality of Star Trek is very much real, that we have bases throughout the solar system, that we have warp drive, that we have teleportation. Lay that on me. What do you think about that theory?
Well, I know it's true because I was identified in Project Pegasus a year before I was born. They used looking glass technologies to locate me and to understand my past lives and my role in the future in order to lure me into a Mars agenda, which connects to the New World Order timeline. So my job has really been to protect the Ascension timeline so that it doesn't get hijacked. And I guess, there was something about taking me to Mars that would, assist in the hijacking of this timeline, because they said that my role had something to do with this. And I had, people leak stuff to me, and I also had a lot of contradiction because, oftentimes when you leak truth, they want to contradict it and cover it up because they want to protect themselves. So it was, very confusing at times. But, what it comes down to is, the Mars agenda and this timeline, very technologically based, it creates a lot of damage and creates a lot of tears in the time-space, larger picture that we're dealing with. We have so many natural abilities and capabilities to time travel and do all this stuff without technology. And I'm not saying that, these technologies are necessarily bad, but they're not being used for purposes of global liberation or to get, food to those that are hungry, to use, teleportation and time travel to assist humanity. It's used to control humanity. And so after being identified in Project Pegasus, that Andrew Bashago told me about, that's how we became colleagues, it dawned on me that, this Mars training program that he was in at the College of the Siskiyous, with characters that were associated with my recruitment, this was just an earlier aspect of this same timeline that wants to take us to Mars and wants to, create a level of control over, humanity, New World Order. And this was part of, what Ike was involved in his administration. Now, what's interesting is after he supposedly won the Second World War, he was pushed into the presidency by the Rockefellers. He was taken under the wing of Rockefeller and very much encouraged to become president. Now, once he became president, he understood that the president doesn't really have any real power and that the Draco reptilian control was already in that government structure. So it wasn't really his idea to sign these treaties, I've come to find out. It was a group called Ultra, and that these things had already been in the works, previous to it. And this is why he gave us a warning. Now, he had 8 heart attacks, which I find interesting. I don't know if he was super stressed out. I always feel like I'm going to have a heart attack. I hope I certainly don't, because I don't want 8. But, there's some kind of,
it helps if you breathe when you talk. That always helps.
Okay, I'm going to try that. Okay. So,
right, what's on Mars? What's on Mars, Laura? Okay,
well, I haven't been to Mars, but I do know that there's a base there. There's, ruins, and what I've come to understand is that they have refurbished, ruins into, a colony that can be lived in, and that there's maybe more than 100,000 people there now. But a lot of people don't make it. And, Andrew Bashago, who was a childhood participant in Project Pegasus, who teleported there, can give, major details about, what's happening there and what's going on there. But, it was all based on gray alien technology. And, once they got to the surface of Mars, they were taught in this training program to look around every 30 seconds because there are predators on Mars. And he's seen, people get chomped. He's had to run from them himself. Now, this man is very articulate, very honest. I've talked to him for, more than a couple of years, hearing this, over and over again over personal conversations. And it's very articulate, and the story never changes. So, and he's trying to relay and remember stuff, and he's very open to being wrong and readjusting his truth. So it's not like he's controlled to share something. So really what's going on in Mars is, it's a great idea to reseed new civilizations. It's a great idea to protect the human genome. But when it's done under this level of control, when it's done on the level of sabotaging what a person's real mission is, which mine was sabotage, but I got it back, then something doesn't seem right.
What's your real mission? What was your real mission that you got back, and how? And first off, tell me what your real mission is, and then we'll go into how you believe it was sabotaged and the fight of how you got it back. So what is Laura Magdalene Eisenhower, what is your mission?
Well, my mission is to liberate humanity, to allow us to evolve and grow based on our connection to the planetary body, to cosmic forces, because everything in the cosmos really does support our ascension. But with these intruder races, with the Draco-Reptilian agendas, which I do understand the origins of based on the Luciferian agenda based on Sophia and all this other stuff in our ancient history. But, my mission is really to bring the concept of unity, unified field, 0-point energy, really moving towards, a closer relationship to ourselves, to a deeper understanding of who we are, so that we can tell the difference between fact and fiction, so that we can be aware and not succumb to falling into lower consciousness because of the false flags and the supposed war on terror and all these other, false natural disasters that make us think that it's Mother Earth when actually she's being used. These folks, that were recruiting me to Mars were connected to these technologies and connected to these scenarios. So my mission that I was, very aware of as a child was a little bit more simple. No, it wasn't more simple. It had to do with, going into, I guess you could say, it's very archetypal, connected to Venus. Very connected to the Venus archetype. I'm ruled by Venus and Pluto, 7 Plutos and 7 Venuses in my chart.
Oh my goodness. When's your birthday?
September 29th. I think we're 2 days apart.
Oh my goodness, we are, yes. Wow, that is true. Look, we're going to talk about, once again, we're talking to Laura Magdalene Eisenhower, and we're going to talk about how her mission was sabotaged and the heroic struggle to put it and the rest of the planet and humanity back on track. This is Sean David Morton, The Force, of course, on the most popular radio show on the internet. And we'll be back in a few beats of your heart.
All right, you are go. You got it.
From sea to sea.
All right, you are go.
From planet to planet and star to shining star. From out of the night and into the light, from the pyramids of Giza to the predators on Mars, from science fiction to science fact, from conspiracy theory to conspiracy reality, from the ancient antediluvian past to the furthest reaches of the far-flung future, from international intrigue to hometown shenanigans, from the bases on the moon to the cities on Uranus.
Where the Klingons are.
Yeah, where the Klingons are, yes. Your frequency is ascending. Welcome back to Strange Universe Radio. Check out the website at strangeuniverseradio.com, strangeuniverseradio.com, where you can, or actually even SeanDavidMorton.com, where you will find all things about the Sean. I'm supposedly on my 3rd clone now, just so you know. I don't know why I don't get an upgrade when they clone me. I mean, I get the crappy, crummy, old clone. But yes, according to the White Hats, I'm now my 3rd clone, and I guess the Dalai Lama has said I am the reincarnation of the Buddha of happiness, Ho Ti, which I'll take. Thank you so much. I'll take that one. That's all good. He's supposed to be the last great. He's supposed to be the last great Maitreya Buddha or something at the end of time. So anyway, I'll take that one. So thank you, White Hat guy, wherever you are, making all this stuff up. Okay, once again, if you're just joining us this hour, actually, oddly enough, we're now running in. Actually, we beat last night's numbers. Just to let you know, I want to thank my buddy Frater X. He has a program on the weekends, actually on AFR, and Frater X, fantastic guy. I'm going to be doing his show sometime around on the 14th or so, but 211 cities in whatever it is, 13 countries, I guess. What was it? 12 countries, 211 cities. So the last hour actually beat last night's numbers. So actually, according to now, this is what he's talking about. So, Laura, here we are. We're actually going out to 211 cities in 13 countries now worldwide. So our hour just broke the record. So what do you think about that?
Oh, that's awesome.
So here we go. So just so you know, it's your words carry heft and weight, and they are affecting the warp and weave, creating a strum and drang throughout the cosmos. All right. So where were we? We were talking about the bases on Mars. Now here you go. You got a chance. I mean, you are who you are. You're the great granddaughter of Ike, and you get a chance to go to Mars, and you can't even go and bring me back a T-shirt. Really? I mean, why did you turn them down?
Well, first of all, it was not just to visit; it was to be a permanent colonist. I was really just to make it. Put it in this perspective, if I went along with everything that was expected of me, I wouldn't be able to expose the deeper layers of the military-industrial complex, and I probably wouldn't be able to do my part in taking it down, because this is all connected to that timeline. Now, Eisenhower was able to warn us, but he wasn't, fully able to dismantle it. That's what I feel my role is, along with others.
But you would get to go to Mars. You'd get to go.
Well, I'm going to go to Mars. We're going to go to Mars in a different way.
All right.
The deal is, basically, because I didn't go with what was expected of me, there was a lot of controls on me at a young age, not from family, but from, these attempts from psychotronic weaponry and all sorts of things. I mean, it was very heavy. I could not inhabit I could not inhabit my physical body for 20-something years. And what I did is I went to a psychic institute, and this is what they explained I was doing. They said that I was going into wormholes and clearing inorganic entities from wormholes, and I couldn't do that in my body. I had to leave. And so they said that I channeled beings to run my body for me, and that my Kundalini kept me alive. And there was only 3% of me in my body up until I had gone to the Institute, because they were helping me come back. So that's before the Mars recruitment. Now, the Mars recruitment, was basically similar to what Eisenhower went through when Rockefeller took him under his wing and wanted him to be president. I was presented with this like this was some sort of protection. It was some sort of need to get me off the planet because there were going to be cataclysms. And, that kind of made sense to me. I still didn't want to go, because when I was young, I had this deep devotion to Gaia, and I was able to do really magical things that just, were really incredible. And it just showed me what potential we have as humans. And I was, connecting to the Venus archetype and all the different archetypes connected to Venus. And I didn't have any books. I didn't have any guidance. It was just all that I knew to be my reality. And I went on that journey, to clear inorganic entities. But it was also going into the underworld to get my power back from Hades, back from, all those different, myths that we all carry on some level in our soul. The exiled aspects of ourselves are, in a sense, something we can call back. But it took me 20-something years to just even be able to inhabit the physical plane. So the reason I turned down the Mars thing was because upon getting to know my fiancé, he would get phone calls and he would get codes over the phone, and then he'd disappear for days and he wouldn't remember. He was splitting into different personalities. I was like, something is not right here. And I started to investigate the people he was talking with and the people that he was planning this Mars adventure with. And when I took the names, at first when I researched, I didn't get any hits. It basically just said, oh, he's a physicist in this part of the country, and this is what this guy does. And, these are names that you probably know. We can talk about some other time. And then I got this hit after 2 weeks of saying, I'm not going to give up. I know these guys are up to something else. That's when I saw their names connected to HARP technologies and, low frequency, ELF, psychotronic weaponry and mind control and artificial telepathy. And I was like, ding, 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 that's it. I said, these guys are up to no good. It'd be one thing to get an invitation. It'd be one thing to be invited, in a nice way, but to have a mind control agent, lure me in. Basically, they located us in a past life, and so they wanted me to naturally fall in love with this person, but they already had him under their control. This was somebody I already recognized and knew. And what I found out from somebody who defected was that they used these technologies to locate us so that I would naturally have an affinity so that I could be lured in, because they said that I couldn't be controlled, and this was the only way to, get me in. And, to see what he went through and to see what these technologies are doing to the planet, I knew that this wasn't something to protect me from. I knew that they were creating the disasters and wanted to yank me off because, I'm here to, raise our frequency beyond these technologies so that we can get, our power back, in a divine way, not in a destructive way. So the Mars recruitment and the Mars colonies are all connected to, the Mars energy on a chakra level, but connected to patriarchy. My role and what I'm, feel called to do is to bring, the Venus energy to the Mars energy and to harmonize it and to take it to a whole other level so that the solar plexus can open up to the higher chakras, that Mars can become more enlightened, so that the masculine and feminine can walk together. And, not all of them are going to go for that. They joked with me a lot about it when I, got out of it. But, the whole point is that what we're dealing with on an inward level, we're seeing play out on the world stage. But a lot of it, of course, is in secrecy. So it took a lot for me to break free because, he was dealing with artificial telepathy. That was the way he was getting instructions about this Mars trip. This wasn't even with the legitimate extraterrestrial race. He was dealing with my labs, military abductions, and all sorts of things that are very much the military-industrial complex. So, this is what I'm here to stop. I didn't know that it would take this form. I thought, maybe I could just do it in a different way. But since I was 6 years old, I knew that I was here to stop what my great-grandfather warned us about. I just didn't know how it would play out. And believe me, it shocked me. Most of my life, I've tried to stay alive. I'm not trying to, go, create some big drama here. But it has been a fight every day to just, stay alive. They even admitted that they had a list of men that were agents of theirs under their control that they sent specifically to me in order to throw me off, in order to sabotage my path, in order to have everything get destroyed in my life so I had nothing left but the Mars recruitment. So when I broke free, I in a sense had to rehabilitate, my life path and get it back on track. And when I was doing that, I just asked source energy, or whatever you want to call it, to just take the whole of humanity with me, and that I would represent the unified field and be a voice for all of us, in our path of liberation, and not to, hold any judgment or blame, but to honor the dark villain and the dark side is playing a role in order to help those that need it to see the polarity, to learn the lessons of duality, which is why they're here.
Now, I understand it, Laura. Hold on, take a breath. I swear, I think you're going to pass out unless I interrupt you. Breathe. That as I understand it, they wanted to take you to Mars primarily to be, a brood mare. You were sort of the inspiration for that whole Mars Needs Moms movie. Is that what they wanted you on Mars for? Was to basically just kind of, have a series of genetically perfected human beings breed on?
I really don't know. The only thing that they said was everything that your website's about, everything that you do, is they know this about you. It connects to the Venus archetype, because what Venus energy does is it's the regenerative, it goes into the underworld and back out again to keep this flow going. That's what the dark night of the soul is. That's when we, it's very uncomfortable for people because we're taught to not embrace our power. We're taught to either give it away or to abuse it and become agents. So when I went into that territory, I was meeting gatekeeper after gatekeeper. And so my work was about purifying it, which I later learned this archetype does, which I strongly connect to. And so they wanted to take me off planet to use that energy on a different planet. They said they wanted to help me reseed a civilization on Mars, and that the partner they set me up with, they call, the archetype Osiris, Oberon, and Orion, Thea energy. Now, we all carry this. But for some reason, they targeted me because of my devotion to it. Because it's a universal energy, anybody can tap into it. I don't claim it to be mine, not an identity. It's a universal energy. And knew, with the Eisenhower bloodline, that I could be of use to them. And just like they did with Eisenhower, they brought him in to become president, and then he had no power. I felt they were going to do the same thing with me, take me to Mars and use me. And this was my chance to stop the game.
And just to explain, because we're going to get back to that again, for people that might be, I know this is a very intelligent audience. I've probably got one of the best audiences in radio. Explain to me alternative 3. Give me an idea of alternatives 1, 2, and 3. And because you obviously have had direct experience with the reality of this, so give me alternative. What is alternative 1 as an example?
I think alternative 1 had to do with opening a bowl to let all the pollutants out of the planetary body or something like that.
Yes.
Alternative 2 had to do with letting things just lie and not have any kind of intervention. Or it had to do with underground bases. And then alternative 3 had to do with the Mars colony. I read so many conflicting things and contradictory things. I can only put it that simply, even though I could go in. Yeah.
And when did we establish a base? I would presume that, we're talking about technology now that is, that's not rocket based. That's basically, anti-gravity and various types of advanced technology. Do you know when the Mars base was actually established, or when? And you would say the United States, but when did they actually? I mean, the rumor is we supposedly really did land on the moon using certain aspects of German technology with the the NSA in like 1953 or something. When did they actually establish a Mars base?
Well, that's a good question because with time travel and everything, in the 50s is when the real work and the use of teleportation. I do believe in the 40s and 50s when at least the ruins were refurbished or brought into working order to become, hospitable to humans. These are the kind of questions that, maybe Michael Reif, I think is his name, and Arthur Neumann, who have some connection to Mars, would be better at answering.
Okay. Okay. And what was, so we've talked about, have we talked about how your mission was sabotaged? Have we, I know you wanted to get to that. We've talked about how you felt your mission, or let's just talk about it. We've understood what your mission is. How do you see your mission has been sabotaged? And then we'll talk about how you got back on your path. So what sabotaged you? What got in your way? What was your counter intention?
Like everything under the sun seemed to get in my way. From really early on, it was just like nobody to talk to about it. And when I realized that everybody thought I was crazy, I was like, okay, well, I'll just play the role of being the crazy one, and I will deal with this on my own. It wasn't until I went to the Psychic Institute where they were able to really see what I had been going through. There was, psychotronic weapons. I was being followed. They had a list of men that they used agents, mind control agents, that in place on my path to completely throw me off. So I would, befriend somebody or be in a relationship, and then that person all of a sudden would become possessed and try and kill me. And it was told to me that that's exactly happening. Maybe this is me and this is some reflection of me. Maybe I want to kill myself. Like, what is going on here? I tried to rationalize it in every possible way. And then I found meeting with psychics and shamans and healers. Some of them said this is too much for me. They couldn't even help me. I'm like, oh, great. Shamans are turning me down. It was heavy, heavy duty. I can't even begin to put it into words. And it goes way deep into past lives. And it's just, it's just the controls that are out there that want to stop this. So, yeah, until the Mars recruitment that I discovered that, some of my intuitions were correct. I knew some black ops thing associated with this, and it was total sabotage. I finally gave up and I said, you know what, take me to whatever's trying to control me because I'm sick of this. I couldn't create anything without it being destroyed. Everything that I tried to do with my family got destroyed. Everything that I wanted to do personal to me got destroyed. It was like if I didn't go along with the program. And so finally, Mars recruitment was the only real chance to say, okay, well, I can go to Mars. This is the only real protection I have. And I said, you know what, even if it costs me my life, I'm a star traveler. I want to go everywhere. I'm all about the cosmos. But I didn't want to go with these guys because this is the patriarchal global elite. This is not the people that Eisenhower had. These were the ones that he was warning us against. And so, but the thing is, they wanted to lure me in. They made it look all fancy. They said, we're here to protect you. And even my ex-agent would say, don't you see I'm trying to protect you?
Okay, don't be shocked. That's just the music. All right, we're going to talk more about when we come back with Laura Magdalene Eisenhower. We're going to talk about how she got back on her path and how certain things that she's doing today are actually altering time and space as we know it. Once again, this is Sean David Morton, and we'll be back for more episodes of Underdog. And from sea to sea, from planet to planet, and star to shining star, from Rough and Ready, California to Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, from Intercourse, Pennsylvania to Toadsuck, Arkansas, all real places. This is Sean David Morton. I am the cheese whiz on your cracker. All right, Mark Hosey, owe me $5, and we'll be so we're back with Laura Magdalene Eisenhower. Okay, we've talked about how things have sabotaged you, and people, men, individuals, it sounds like, it does sound like you've had a life that happens to a lot of beautiful women like yourself, that you get a lot of, you've had your share of cads, it seems, throughout your life and existence that have diverted you from your purpose. But you're saying that you believe that you've literally had sort of a, I don't know, I guess a secret government agenda to make sure you don't do what you're supposed to do. Because I think you've really just come out with a lot of your information just in the past, as I understand it, the past year or two, haven't you?
Yep.
Okay. And let's get into the next thing then. The next thing I want to know about this, and actually I have some, there are some questions here. I don't know if we're going to take we can take a couple of calls here, or I'll take them in just a second. But because we've got the phone lines are just lighting up here. 218-339-8525. 218-339-8525 if you guys want to be part of the conversation. One question was, where is the Psychic Institute? You're talking about the Psychic Institute. Now, is this, because if I understand correctly, the Project Pegasus stuff, and I never get to say his name properly, but it's Andrew, say his name for me again. It's not Andrew, the gentleman who's head of Project Pegasus?
Andrew Bashago.
Bashago, that's it. Andrew Bashago. I keep wanting to call him Bigelow or whatever else, but Andrew Bashago. I mean, Andrew does have probably, one of the wildest stories on two wheels. Probably one of the wildest stories I think I've ever heard. It came from Duncan Cameron and Al Bielek with their experiences with the Philadelphia experiment, time travel, and, whatever else. Andrew talks about him being a child, being used to travel backwards and forwards through time, that he supposedly was transported through time back to the Gettysburg Address, and a lot of very interesting things going on with him. So you talk about the Psychic Institute. Is this something other people can go to? Does it have an actual location? I mean, where is it at, this institute that you studied at?
In Berkeley, California. It has nothing to do with Project Pegasus. It's not anything hidden. I just stumbled upon it. I didn't, I had no plan on going. I stumbled upon it, and I just sat down in front of a psychic, and I couldn't believe that they were picking up on all this, because I was just in it all on my own, and to have like that validation and that I just ended up seeing them a lot, and going through the program, and they all said the same thing. They all really did see what was happening, and but there was things there that I wasn't interested in, and I didn't remain. I didn't stay permanently. It was after that though that I went to recruitment to Mars though. So this was before that. I was struggling to just stay alive. I was under a lot of attack, a lot of this sabotaging stuff, and I was trying to raise twins by myself, and it was just like a madhouse. I can't tell you how hard it was to make it to where I am today. I said, if I make it, it's going to be beyond a miracle, because this is just like insane. I mean, times where I should have been dead, and I just literally regenerated. I just brought myself back it was nuts for years and years and years and years and years and years. And, finally just, during the recruitment time, I've always considered myself a global alchemist. I'm like, I'm going to turn this lead into gold. I'm going to, this is what we're capable of doing. I'm just in love with this planetary body, and the potential of humanity is like, my heart's so in encouraging us to just be all that we can be. And that is what kept me alive. That's what kept me strong, is just keeping that focus. And so, that's really how I got my path back. I had to expose these people. My phones were, clicking all the time. So when I was involved in the recruitment, and I had this very, prophetic dream that I was being taken up in a ship, some voice from the sky said to me in the dream, you have a choice. You can either go to Mars and be controlled by them, or you can stay on Earth and do your mission. Now, this was very early on after I got engaged. Even though the talk about Mars was still there, I didn't know how, immersed it was in the shadow government. I thought it was just some trip, that was, for the public to know about. But this dream, had me make a choice, and I made a choice, and I landed back in the ocean. And then I was like, oh my gosh, my partner's still in the ship. And I tried to jump up into the sky, and then storm clouds came, and I plunged back into the water. And then this alignment of the planets happened, and this organic, beautiful light just from the sky that you made the right choice. And then I told, the agent, who I call Agent X, I said, hey, I had the weirdest dream last night. And I told him, and he was like, oh, you shouldn't have told me that. Because what it really showed him was that I was onto them. Like, I was already picking up on what was happening. And that everybody started to subtly leak information to me. Same time, they said, you'll be kidnapped if you don't go.
Wow. And but you weren't.
No, so I'm I watch around, I look behind, but here and there, this is why I talk fast. I'm kind of in recovery, a little bit like, it's been a lot, so I'm trying to just like relax.
It's okay. It's all right. People are, like, everybody out there is loving it. I'm enjoying it. I think it's, like I said, I think it's great. You go, girl. You can talk as fast as you want. I'm just, okay. So here's the next curiosity. You obviously have a vision. Now, how did you reclaim your power? Were there specific things that you did to get you back on your path and get you back to where you're supposed to be? And also, what is it that told you, because, the first experience that I had of you, again, was when we were on the panel together up at the New Living Expo, and I had the honor of being able to sit next to you, and you got up and just started wowing the crowd, and I was just sitting there going, yeah, you go, girl, go baby, go, and because I just love it when people put a lot of information together. It shows their mastery of the subject matter, if I can say that. What put you back on course? What is it? How did you repair the sabotage and get you back on what feel? I mean, do you feel like you're on your proper course right now? Yes or no?
I do. And I feel like, in a sense I always have been. I think there was no way I could avoid, this Mars recruitment. There was nothing else I could create. Everything just, really got destroyed. And I knew I needed to face them. I faced a lot of other things. There's way more to the story than just the Mars thing. That's for a whole nother thing. It's just crazy stuff.
Is that what? Hold on. Is that what put you back on course? How did you fix the sabotage in your life, and how did you get yourself back on track to where first off, when did you start coming out in public and talking about all this stuff? About when? 2 years ago? 1 year ago?
2010. And I would say that really helped me more than anything else, because it's dangerous for me doing this without being able to talk about it. Now that it's exposed, I feel way more protected. At first I didn't have any plans on really putting myself out there. I said, if nature wants me to come forward, I will. But I knew that humanity has the right to know what's going on. They need to know this stuff, because this isn't just affecting me. This is a global thing. So after I was able to expose the story, and after I broke free of the recruitment and got away from X and got and started to talk about it and the people, and started to expose the technologies they were connected with, the attacks started lifting. I started, to be able to breathe again. And I'm still working on it, of course. But it's like in 2006, when I started talking on the phone with people and saying, these are their names, this is what they're connected to, and this is what they're trying to do to me, all of a sudden something lifted. It's like they were like, oh my gosh, we better leave. And they fight me. They wanted to do videos with me. They wanted me to appear in public with them so that they didn't look like the bad guy. And I said, you know what, I'm not here to make you the bad guy, but I'm not going to do any videos with you. I'm not going to, join up with you. It's all very complicated. But really, when I was able to expose the story, I felt more grounded. I felt, safer. But I mean, this is an ongoing thing. I mean, I'm still attacked constantly. I'm still, at times I feel like I have to go to the hospital. My heart goes nuts. Like, I'm still just trying to stay alive. But I know I'm on track because I shuffle my cards compulsively to just make sure that there's no invader energies and I'm staying, really solid on my path. The thing is, Mother Earth is under attack, and this is kind of like I've kind of morphed into the planetary body in a sense of surrender. It's like Laura's gone. I'm here to serve the whole, and whatever it takes, I'll do. But when Mother Earth is attacked, with radiation and oil spills and HARP technologies and this and that, that's really where we're all at as far as the track that we're on. And so I focus on alchemy because we can transmute this. And so I really focus on sharing tools and ways that we can handle dealing with currently and take it to a whole new level. And so in that, I know that I'm on track. And the fact that people embrace me and actually listen to me, which has never happened in my life, is a good sign. And then I went to Mount Shasta during the Venus transits, and I actually, in a random way, was able to view the transits at the same place that Andrew Bashago was in the Mars training program that would lead to my recruitment. It was like a sign from saying, you have just, reclaimed your timeline. You've reclaimed your path, because not only are you standing in the same place, because you're not supposed to be here, you're supposed to be heading to Mars. Here you are standing in the same place looking at the Venus transit, and then the next day I had 2 hours to talk. I had 8 hours for the whole time because I was there 3 days. For the final day, I had 2 hours to wrap it all together, the treaties with Eisenhower, the Venus transits, the Divine Feminine, all of this stuff. And then somebody came up to me and said, did you know the anniversary of D-Day? And it was another just kind of like sign that like something good was happening. And also when I came out with an article called Consciousness Will Collapse the Military Industrial Complex, I had no idea that I wrote it and put it out there on the anniversary of his farewell address. So I had no idea. So I'm thinking these synchronicities are huge for me. I follow signs, and I look for omens, and that's all I really have to go on. The fact, I'm on the show with you and that like we're all just in this together, and it just is all that I need to just to know that I'm on the right track and that I'm back. Because before I didn't have any of that. I was just, I mean, I was ostracized. People thought I was, talk about strange, like very too much for people. And now people are able to handle this. And I just think, the power of all of us together is exactly what we need. We're multidimensional. We're in a multidimensional reality, and we're lucid dreamers, and we can absolutely and totally shift out of this into a whole new existence, and we can actually use these technologies properly. So it's really good. And really.
What's the rest of the solar system really like? Have they given you any information as to maybe what it's like on Venus or what it's like on Mars or? I've heard rumors for a long period of time, oddly enough, going all the way back to George Adamski in the 1950s, literally I guess you would say the godfather or really the father of the UFO contactee movement, where Adamski gave us descriptions of what spaceflight was like, what the backside of the moon looked like, that there were pockets of air where you could sort of walk around on the moon, that Venus was somewhat idyllic, that he had relations with people who came from Mars, Venus, from who lived on moons of Saturn and Jupiter. Oddly enough, no one ever comes from Uranus. You ever notice that in the whole New Age movement? No one channels beings from Uranus. Nobody says they've been to Uranus. Poor Uranus. There's got to be beings on Uranus, but we would just laugh them off this planet. What's the what aren't they telling us? Is there something else to Venus that we should maybe know about, or what's the true environment on Mars? Do you have any information that you personally know about?
Well, I learned way more from whistleblowers than I did from the Mars recruiters, because they weren't supposed to have direct contact with me. They were using the agency to bring me in. But, from what I understand about, it's good that you brought up the Venus thing, because I wanted to say something real quick about it. That, we can't see these things because, it's in a different dimension. But if we could connect the dimension that, some of these planetary bodies are vibrating at, we'd be able to see a lot more than what we see. I think some of the greatest stories come from Bob Dean as far as, off-planet stuff, and some of the super soldiers, what the stuff they're revealing. But there's a lot that Andrew has revealed about, being in a holographic universe where it's not really what we think. We're dealing with an artificial moon, and we're also dealing with an archonic planetary system. Where Tiamat, exploded and became part of the asteroid belt, and Earth and the heavens, things were way, way, way different. And now this artificial matrix is trying to sabotage our natural ascension, of course. And so things in the cosmos are very confusing, because, like, Nibiru is an artificial planet, and some of the influences in our particular galaxy are a lot different than the multidimensional cosmos that we're in. We're dealing with a different set of stuff, I think, than other universes, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's just, the more we find out about the just the solar system around us, the more we discover that NASA, which stands for Never a Straight Answer, is either lying or or just is covering up the truth. This all goes back to the Brookings Institute back in 1962 that wrote this white paper that said within 30 years, 62, 72, 82, 92, we would come in contact with extraterrestrial archaeology or extraterrestrials themselves, and at all costs that information must be covered up. And when our woeful monologue is how by evil we've been flogged, and breaking through the clouds and fog, not plane nor bird nor even frog, comes Underdog. And I'll be back in a few beats of your heart after this. Sean David Morton back on Your Strange Universe, parting the dimensional veil of the time-space continuum, sliding down the wooden banister of interdimensionality that is the Einstein-Rosen bridge between listeners. Welcome to the Bermuda Triangle. I've been there and actually come back with souvenirs. So here we go. So, Laura, you feel like playing We the People and opening up to the great. I wouldn't call them the unwashed masses. They're bathed, and actually they're like the smell good plumbers. They're actually very nice people. You want to take a few calls and a few questions from people?
Yeah, sure. All
right, so here we go. All right, we're going to light up the phone lines here to talk to everybody. Once again, if you have a question, please, if you have a question, a comment, an announcement, opinion, engagement, if you want to foist your bizarre paranoid delusion upon the rest of reality or tell us how aluminum foil makes a really nice hat and keeps the government from reading your mind from space, keep that to yourself. Write yourself a book and get yourself on a radio show. Ask a question, not a monologue. And here we go. You guys have been waiting on there for a while. I don't know who this is. You're anonymous. Don't rename. Are you there? You got a question for Miss Eisenhower? Okay, let's try somebody else. Number 2, you're on from the...
Laura.
There we go.
I want everyone to get an earful because everything that Laura is saying is factual and accurate. She is telling it exactly the way that it is and has been on Mars. NASA actually stands for Never a Sensor Aboard. And
that's good. I like that one.
And quite frankly, I'm still stuck on the dingleberries.
Oh yeah, Again, nobody ever comes from Uranus. You ever notice that? Nobody ever gets.
I do.
Yeah, but there's got to be a bunch of Uranians out there that want to tell us something. But all right, so you got a question for Laura?
Laura, I didn't have any. I had very little personal experience with the bases on Mars. I'm very familiar with the jump room structures. I've been to Mars a few times, and my longest.
You claim you've been there yourself. You've actually been to Mars.
I've teleported numerous. I've teleported numerous
times. Got the
times.
T-shirt, did the tour, did the whole thing. So you've been to Mars, sir.
This is Brett Stillings.
Oh, hi, Brett. How are you?
Hello, sir. How you doing?
Okay. Well, we'll have you on the show here pretty soon. So go ahead. So tell us your experience and ask Laura a question.
Back in the early '80s, I'd been jumping around, teleporting to Mars through the program. Brought in through my father. Basically, he was a Lockheed engineer in the Skunk Works, and basically, best assessed was that he was eventually inducted in through the CIA.
Let's do this. I don't need to cut you off, Brett, but I got a Christmas tree full of people here. So and I want to hear your story, but that might be for another time. So actually, if you want to contact us through Skype, and let's have you on the show. You got a question for Laura right now?
Yeah. The only base I ever saw looked like that Russian aircraft that was kind of oval shaped. It was white, didn't have any lettering or anything on the outside. But most of what my father talked about was that they were doing illusions basically with some people that were sent there that were that they would have a normal looking house like here. They'd have solar panels. For the outside, they cordoned off a large section, which is why the military, a huge military presence there on Mars. And some of these people actually didn't even know that they were on Mars.
Is there a question in there somewhere?
Yeah. Did you know of anything about that part of the industry or the what was going on?
Okay, Brett. You'll take your answer offline so I can put somebody up in the somebody else up in the queue here. But we will talk to you very soon. So thank you very much. Go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, I only really heard about their intention to terraform. I could only listen to conversations. I've learned a lot just from Brett Stillings and Andrew Bishago. But when I was involved in all this, all I had was putting my ear into conversations, and I would hear things about terraforming and just some of the bases and just subtle things here and there, but nothing that I could really ask questions about because I wasn't supposed to know anything.
Okay, all right. So there we go. So 253. Like I said, we're playing lightning round here, playing We the People. Who's this and where are you from?
Hi, my name is Andrea. I'm from Washington. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Washington State or Washington, D.C.?
Washington State, yeah. Okay. Hi, Laura. I've been really enjoying this. I had a question about the inner earth beings. I did tune in to one ancient who is magnificent looking, and I have a question about the information kind of that's rumored that Mount Shasta will open the portal for those of us who want to sit in a light chamber device for full consciousness. Do you have any opinions on that?
Well, I mean, I'm open to all sorts of possibilities. I know there's at least 8 groups or 8 beings or races, that are fighting over the mountain on some level. There's a lot of benevolent races there, but I don't. I know it's a major portal. I don't really know what their plans are. So, I mean, what's interesting is I was going to talk a little bit about Ike's visitation with Venetians, and they talk a lot about a lot of assistance coming. And
Venusians, you mean? Venusians. Okay. Venetians would be Italians, but okay, go ahead. Venusians. So his contacts from Venus, like Dr. Frank Strange just talks about Commander Valiant Thor in his book Stranger from the Pentagon, which, by the way, I think they're making a movie out of now. So all this stuff that we're talking about is now coming out into the mainstream in fictionalized form. So go ahead.
Thor supposedly mentioned that waves of aliens would land around the world to help the Earth up against insurmountable problems. And he also said that a group from a distant planetary system would be coming to give aid. And so I'm privy to, the communications that Ike had supposedly with Valiant Thor, but I, just like everybody else, hear all sorts of stories about other things and other agendas and the portals opening and that opening and all sorts of stuff. So I can only keep an open mind. I had a reoccurring dream that the sky would open up and pour light into the earth and people would think it was an atom bomb, and I was embracing it, saying it's finally here. That's all I really connect to as far as what's ahead. It's just my own experience and what I've been given. But I do not doubt that, and so that's all I can really say.
Okay. Actually, a longtime listener and regular caller, Sid in Kentucky. What's on your mind, Sid? Ask Laura.
Hey, Sean, here's my question real quick. Miss Laura, do you realize that this day, right now, there's a lot of love directed right at you if you'll take a couple minutes post-show and get quiet and just realize that a whole new world of people that don't know you have directed a lot of energy, good energy toward you. Sean, go back to your show, man. This is a really good one.
Thank you, Sid. Like I said, I got the greatest crowd of people in the world, Laura. They're the people that listen to this program and that I meet all over the world are just they're fabulous. And please take Sid seriously. That again, you're opening up to, I think, what was it, 120, 100. What was I? What did I say earlier? It was we broke some new record. I think the last hour here with something about once again 211 cities out there. So just know that there are so many people that are helping you now connect and direct and focus that energy to be able to transmute, transform, and transmogrify the whole idea of Scorpio becoming the Phoenix and absorbing everything in the violet light and the violet fire. And, of course, the Venus transit that you experienced. We tried to get you to come up for the solar eclipse up in Mount Shasta as well. I begged you to come up, but you were up there for the Venus transit there. So, but just know that there's a lot of love and a lot of power and a lot of passion that people are focusing on you. And I hope that after we get done with the show here in a couple of minutes, that you'll take a chance to maybe just go outside and sit quietly. It is a full moon tonight, by the way, in Capricorn. There are some very powerful trines that are happening as well. And you've got powerful love and support. And I hope to be a good friend and a good champion for the things that you're doing. Let's go. You see, we already talked to Andrea in Washington. There you go. So let's talk to Uncle Ron. What's up, Uncle Ron? In the 323. What's up, brother? Ron, you there? Testing 1 2. Ron? Yes, no, Ron. Okay, let me try one more time. Ron, are you there? Okay, Laura, are you still there?
I am.
Okay, look, then let me do this. We've got about 3 minutes left here before the music comes in. What's the future hold? Where are we with the vibrations that you're picking up now? Take a deep breath for me. And with vibrations you're picking up now, as you extend yourself out through that Venusian energy, that Gaia energy, that personalization of the planet that you've brought into the loving, powerful, feminine part of yourself, putting the earth in your belly, if you will. What is it you feel? What is what's our future? What's our future right now?
Well, I think it's just incredible. I mean, I know that there's, dangers out there. My gosh, there's a lot of, powerful agendas that, want to siphon souls into a whole artificial timeline and matrix to continue this agenda of control. So I just see that we are going to hold the light. We're going to hold the space of the ascension time.
Go, keep talking.
Inspire people to join with us, and we're going to gather as many as possible, and those who don't make it will eventually get there. We're in a school, we're here to learn the lessons of duality. Not everybody's going to make it, but eventually they will. And but we're strong in this. We are owning the road ahead. We're owning our liberation. We're owning our freedom. I have no doubts about that. And I just see everything opening up, us reconnecting with our universal family, the veils lifting, and us being able to leave and come from our physical bodies at will. I've always seen beautiful, amazing things, and no amount of danger or threats and attacks have ever changed that. So I hold it just as strongly now, even more so than ever, and it's a beautiful thing.
Once again, my guest, Laura Magdalene Eisenhower. It's a strange universe. We are such stuff as dreams are made of, and our little lives are rounded with a sleep. Happy 4th of July. Be independent.
No rules. No rules. No taboo topics. No taboo topics. No fear of doom. No fear of doom. We are American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.